What's good, Skins fans? Happy Friday. Hope everybody has a good weekend this weekend. Of course, we have a big game against the 49ers. We have a pretty big game. It's our homecoming game. It's the Redskins homecoming game. If you didn't know, the Washington Redskins do have a homecoming game. We will be wearing our throwback jerseys in this game at FedEx Field. So, 49ers are undefeated. They're a good team. I give them their respect. They are a good team. Now, I did want to talk about Kyle Shanahan's comments that he made about his time in Washington. I was thinking about making a separate video about it, but I'll just address it right now. I have an unpopular opinion about his comments. I think his comments were classless, in my opinion. And you know, I hate Bruce and Dan just as much as the next Redskins fan. But I just think his comments were classless. That's just my opinion. I think they did ask him about homecoming. They were like, "How do you feel about the Redskins homecoming game?" And he was like, "Oh, I thought this was a high school game. I thought it was a high school thing." That's kind of a low-key jab, in my opinion. That's a low-key, sarcastic, snarky comment that he made against the Washington Redskins. And then, of course, everybody did hear when he was asked in the press conference, I think it was by the Niners media, they were like, how do you like your time in Washington? And he was like, I enjoyed it with my dad. And, you know, and then they said, how do you like everything else? And Shanahan said, nothing, you know. Or somebody said, what was the worst part about everything else? And he said everything. I might have said it wrong, but basically, to sum it up, that's what Kyle Shanahan said about his time in Washington. And I get you don't like Snyder. I don't like Snyder. Nobody likes Snyder. Nobody likes Bruce Allen. Come on now, let's get that out of the way. Nobody likes those two guys. But I just think, you know, it was a little classless in my opinion. Now when we interviewed when Bill Belichick was interviewed last week about the Washington Redskins, he said Jay Gruden was a good coach. That's a lie. But it's about being class. It's about having class. You know, and I know Bruce and Dan don't have class at all a lot of times, but it's about having class against your opponents a lot of the times. You know, when they asked Bill Belichick about Colt McCoy, Dwayne Haskins, and Keenum, he said all three quarterbacks are good. And that's a lie. That's a lie. That's a big lie. We know Case Keenum's not a good quarterback right now. And we know Colt McCoy's not a good quarterback. And we know Dwayne Haskins is learning right now and really should be out there playing anyway, in my opinion. But we just know Dwayne is a rookie and he hasn't really gotten a chance to really show what he can do yet or got the proper pushing from coaching and reps from coaching. So that's just how I feel about that situation. You know, I just want to get that off my chest. I feel like Kyle Shanahan was a little classless. And I'll give you examples of guys who have talked about teams and former players. We listened to Zach Brown talk about Kirk Cousins. How did that end up? We listened to Khalil Mack talk about the Raiders. Didn't the Bears just lose to the Raiders? We heard multiple players talk about bashing other teams that they played. And those games did not end well. I'm telling you, those games have not ended well for the people who have bashed the opponents in interviews. That has not ended up well. Baker Mayfield talking about opponents. How's that ended up for Baker Mayfield this year? Hasn't ended well. So that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying we're going to win this game. But I'm saying when people bash their opponents and stuff like that, it does not end up well. That's all I'm going to say here. That's all I'm going to say. Now, the Niners are a very good team, 5-0. Really darn good team. Richard Sherman is still a decent cornerback. I think Terry should get open against Richard Sherman, but it's not about the cornerback matchup. It's about their defensive line. Dee Ford is a beast. Nick Bosa is a dog. He's a beast. They got the guy Armstead. Their defensive line is stacked. The linebackers are good. Like I said, Richard Sherman is still a formidable cornerback. He's still a decent cornerback. He's not what he used to be, but he's still pretty good. So he probably will be guarding Terry McLaurin. That should be a good matchup. I really think Terry should win that matchup. I don't see any corner really shutting down Terry McLaurin because he played against the best corner, arguably, in the game right now, Stephen Gilmore, and Terry was still getting open. So I really like Terry in this matchup. Paul Richardson, you got to step up. You got to step up in this game. You're going to get open, or he should be getting open, because I feel like they're going to double-team Terry, and I feel like Paul Richardson should be getting open. Adrian Peterson, we did sign the fullback Michael Burton. I really like that signing by Bill Callahan. Jay Gruden didn't want to have a fullback. He didn't want to go in the I formation. We know what he said about Adrian Peterson with the I formation. So I think that should help us out in this game. I don't think we're going to get a whole bunch of yards rushing, but who knows? I think a fullback should just help us out here. I haven't really seen a fullback by the Redskins since really like Mike Sellers. That's the last fullback I can really remember for the Washington Redskins. So I think that should help. I really do. Jeremy Sprinkle's got to step up big. We got to use Steven Sims. We have to use Steven Sims. We got to use him in a punt return game. I think we should switch out Trey Quinn. People have been saying this for weeks now, really when the season even started, that Steven Sims should be returning punts. for the Washington Redskins instead of Trey Quinn. And I like Trey Quinn. I don't dislike Trey Quinn. I like Trey Quinn. I think he has good hands and he can get separation, but he just doesn't get it done in punt returning for me. Paul Richards, like I said, he's got to step up. We got to use Kelvin Harmon. I want to see Cam Sims get some opportunities as well. On the defensive side, we got to get a pass rush. Manusky's awful. He's so terrible. I can't take it anymore. We really almost lost the Dolphins game because of Manusky and Josh Norman. If you haven't heard, I don't like the junkies, but you should check out Dante Winter's interview that he just did today, this morning, talking about Jay Gruden being a leader of men. And I don't want to keep going about Jay Gruden because I think he was a terrible coach anyway. I'm happy he was fired, but I'll probably put a link in the description. I don't like the junkies anyway, but that interview tells a lot. A lot of people say Dante Whitner was awful for the Redskins. He might have been awful, but he was speaking facts. He was speaking facts about Manusky. He was speaking facts about Jay Gruden. This is stuff that has been said by former players like DJ Swearinger many times before about these two guys. So I'll probably put the link in the description to that video. Check out that video about what Dante Whitner said about Jay Gruden and Greg Manusky, and about Josh Norman as well. So Josh Norman, you got to step up, man. They got some good receivers, Deebo Samuel and Marquise Goodwin. They're really good. The running backs, Matt Breida, Tevin Coleman, they're all good. They have weapons. They have big weapons, man. They use their fullback a lot, too, to block for Breida and Tevin Coleman. They have another running back. I can't remember his name, but he gets a lot of yardage, too. The weaknesses for the Niners, I would say, honestly, Jimmy G is really good. He's really good. But if you look at his stats, 7 touchdowns, 5 picks, that's not really good. Jimmy G doesn't have to do much to win the game for them. He really doesn't. They win the game by running the football and playing defense. That's how I want the Washington Redskins to be. We need to win games by running the football and playing tough defense. That's how we won last year. I don't know why we went away from that formula, and that's why Jay Gruden's gone, because he should have stayed with that formula, running the football and playing tough defense. We would have won. We probably would have won at least 2 games by now if we would have stayed to that formula, running football and playing tough defense, I think. Some injuries did happen, and, of course, Trent not coming back did hurt us, but we should have just stayed to that formula of doing that. I think Vernon Davis is probably not going to play for the injury report. Chris Thompson is probably going to be out with turf toe. Vernon Davis is out with a concussion. Of course, Jordan Reed on IR. Darius guys on IR. So the injuries list on and on and on. I think Rouye is going to be available. Brandon Sheriff should be available. Eric Flowers, of course. Donald Penn didn't practice, but I think Donald Penn should be available. We'll probably get some news in a couple hours. I just had to make this video before. I like to make the videos after the injury report comes out, which it usually comes out around like 3 or 4 o'clock. Right now it's like 1 o'clock. But I think our offensive line should be healthy for the most part here. Morgan Moses, of course, healthy. So use Steven Sims. Got to get AP involved. AP, you got to hit the right hole, man. He could have had 200 yards against the Dolphins. Missed some holes here and there, but he still played really, really well. You get the ball to Scary Terry. Scary Terry doesn't like the nickname from what I heard. But we got to get the ball to Terry McLaurin. We got to get him the ball. He's our best option on offense. He's our best receiver by far, so we have to get him involved. Jeremy Sprinkle, you have to catch the football. No more dropping passes, Jeremy. You got to catch the football. You play well against the Dolphins. We need you to step up. You're really the only tight end that we have right now that can really catch and make moves with the football. I don't really see anybody else from the tight end position on this team, really. We're really thin at tight end. We need another tight end really, really, really badly. Bruce Allen is awful. He needs to be fired today. He should have been fired a long time ago. I don't know why we have not made this trade with the Browns. John Dorsey came out and said it takes 2 to tango. This is ridiculous. You have a guy who wants to make a trade with you, and you haven't even talked back with him. This is ridiculous. Now, I heard they did have a conversation, but Bruce Allen is standing pat with not trading Trent. Now, that could change. The deadline is October 29th. We need that to change. We need to trade Trent immediately. I don't know if we're going to get back. I don't think we'll probably will get a first-round pick. I'm not sure if the Browns have their first-round pick. I think they do. I was looking at the mock draft. I think they do have their first-round pick. So we need to get their first-round pick and another player. First-round pick in Njoku, first-round in Denzel Ward, or Denzel Ward in the second, whatever, because we don't have a second-round pick. So Njoku in a second-round pick or Denzel Ward in a second-round pick, I take that, to be honest with you. Doesn't necessarily, if we can get a good player and a pick, doesn't necessarily have to be a first-round pick. I like Njoku. He just has to stay healthy. He hasn't been able to stay healthy like the rest of the Redskins, so that is a red flag there. But Denzel Ward's been pretty good. Somebody said Greedy Williams. I don't think they're going to give up Greedy Williams because they just drafted him, so I doubt they give him up. But if they just give us a first-round pick for Trent, I'll be fine with that, to be honest with you. That'd be a win-win for us. That'd be a win for the Browns as well, because they need a left tackle really, really badly. I heard they're going to bench Greg Robinson. But I think my final prediction for this game, I think it's going to be a lot closer than what people think. Everybody's going to think we're going to be blown out 28-10, 31-10, or 40-0, or whatever. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think if you get to Jimmy G and make Jimmy G beat us, this can be a close game. This can be a really, really close game. I really do. That's just my opinion. I think it'll be a close game. I'm not trying to be a homer or whatever. I think we are going to lose, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than what people think. I think it's going to be 17-14. 49ers win. I think we do have a different kind of mindset with Bill Callahan as the coach. I think we're a more motivated team. We're a more disciplined team. I think it should be a close game. I think it's going to be 17-14, but the 49ers do win. We're just going to make some mental mistakes behind Greg Manusky on defense, and that's where we're going to lose this game. So it's going to be 17-14. 49ers win. We'll end up being 1-6. So let me know what y'all think, what the score is going to be, the end score and all that, the prediction. Let me know what your thoughts are on the Kyle Shanahan comments, too. Like I said, I don't disagree with what he said, but you just don't really have to say it. I think he went out his way to really say it. You know, I know they asked him, and we did beat them in 2017, and he never said those comments. He never said anything about Washington. Somebody said, oh, they didn't ask him about his time at Washington, but still, I just think it was classless. I think it was classless. So let me know what y'all think. All right, hail to them Skins, hail to the Wizards. All right, y'all, peace.